Admiral Tejo stood on the bridge of the destroyer Incheon, watching the stars through the viewport. He was 52 years old, with gray hair and tired eyes that had seen too many battles. Behind him, his crew worked quietly at their stations, monitoring the space around New Busan colony. New Busan was a mining colony on the edge of human space. 340,000 people lived there, most of them miners and their families. They dug valuable minerals from the rocky planet below and sent them back to Earth. It was hard work, but honest work. The colony had been there for 12 years without any problems. Tejo had been assigned to protect the colony 3 months ago. It was supposed to be an easy job. The Galactic Council kept peace in this part of space. Humanity had joined the Council 47 years ago, and while other species looked down on humans as newcomers, there had never been any real trouble. That changed when the censors started screaming. "Admiral, we have incoming ships," the censor officer called out. 60 contacts. Valkyrie signatures. Tejo felt his stomach drop. The Valkyrie were reptilian creatures, tall and covered in dark green scales. They had been part of the Galactic Council for thousands of years. They were powerful, arrogant, and they had never liked humans. "Battle stations," Tejo ordered. "Get me a channel to their commander." The bridge lights shifted to red. Alarm klaxons blared through the ship. All across the small human fleet, crews rushed to their positions. Tejo had only 12 destroyers. The Valkyrie had 60 warships. A Valkyrie appeared on the main screen. He was massive, with golden eyes and scales that looked like armor. "Human vessel, you are in violation of Valkyrie territorial rights. Evacuate this system immediately." Tejo kept his voice steady. "This is human territory, recognized by the Galactic Council. You have no authority here." The Valkyrie's mouth opened in what might have been a smile, showing rows of sharp teeth. "The Council recognizes our ancient claim. This system belongs to the Valkyrie Dominion. Leave now or be destroyed." "I need to verify this with the Council," Tejo said. "You have 1 hour," the Valkyrie said, "and cut the transmission." Tejo immediately contacted Ambassador Yuna at the Galactic Council headquarters. She was 38, smart, and tough. She had been fighting for human rights in the council chambers for 5 years. "Admiral, I'm looking at the records now," Yuna said, her face worried on the screen. "There is no Valkyrie claim registered. This is illegal. I'm filing an emergency protest, but it will take days to get a hearing." "We don't have days," Tejo said. "Start evacuating the colony. Get every civilian on transport ships now." Down on New Busan, Minji was working in the main power station when the evacuation alarms went off. She was an engineer, good with machines and systems. She had lived on the colony for 8 years and considered it home. "Everyone to the transport pads," the loudspeakers announced. "This is not a drill. Evacuate immediately." Minji ran to help organize the evacuation. Thousands of people rushed toward the landing zones, where transport ships were already descending. Parents carried children. Old miners grabbed what possessions they could carry. Fear filled the air. The hour passed too quickly. Tejo watched as the civilian transports began lifting off, heading for the safety of deep space. Only half the population had been evacuated when the Valkyrie fleet began moving forward. "Admiral, they're targeting the transports," Captain Hana reported from her destroyer, the Soul. She was young, only 31, but she was the best tactical officer in the fleet. "All ships, defensive formation around the transports," Tejo ordered. "Buy them time to escape." The battle began badly. Valkyrie warships were larger and more powerful than human destroyers. Their weapons had longer range and hit harder. But Tejo had not survived the corporate wars on Earth by fighting fair. "Load all mining explosives from the colony stockpiles onto cargo pods," he ordered. "Program them to drift into the Valkyrie formation." The Valkyrie commander laughed when he saw the small human ships retreating, leaving behind what looked like debris. His ships pushed forward, eager to destroy the transports. They flew right into the cloud of cargo pods. The mining explosives detonated in a massive chain reaction. 5 Valkyrie warships disappeared in the blast. 7 more were damaged, their shields failing. Now, Tejo ordered. Full speed, target their damaged ships. The human destroyers shot forward at maximum thrust. They were smaller and faster than the Velkari ships. Captain Haina's soul fired every missile it had at once, overwhelming a damaged Velkari cruiser's defenses. The cruiser exploded. The Velkari regrouped quickly, but they were angry now. They had expected the humans to run. No one had fought them like this in centuries. They focused their fire on the Incheon, trying to kill the human admiral. Hull breaches on decks 3 and 5, the damage control officer reported. Shields at 20%. Tejo looked at the tactical display. Most of the civilian transports had escaped. The Soul and 3 other destroyers were still fighting. They had destroyed 15 Velkari ships. But it was not enough. All ships, full retreat, Tejo ordered. Get to the jump point. The remaining human destroyers turned and ran, using every trick they knew to avoid the Velkari weapons. 2 more destroyers were destroyed before the rest made it to safety and jumped away. Tejo's bridge was filled with smoke. Emergency lights flickered. But when he checked the status board, he smiled. All the civilian transports had escaped. The colony was lost, but the people were safe. Get me a channel to Earth Command, he said. When the connection was established, Tejo gave his report. New Busan colony is lost. All civilians evacuated successfully. We destroyed 15 Velkari warships, but lost 4 destroyers. The Velkari attacked without provocation or council authorization. The Earth Command officer looked shocked. Admiral, the council will handle this through diplomatic channels. You are ordered to stand down and await their decision. Tejo thought about the miners and families, scared and homeless now. He thought about his crew members who had died, buying time for those families to escape. He thought about the Velkari commander's arrogant smile. Understood, Tejo said. But tell the council something for me. The Velkari started this war. We intend to finish it. He cut the transmission and turned to his crew. Set course for the rally point. Contact every human ship in range. We need to regroup and plan our next move. The crew began working immediately. They were afraid, but they were also angry. The Velkari had attacked their people. In the old days on Earth, before humanity reached the stars, there had been a saying, never start a fight with someone who has nothing left to lose. The Velkari were about to learn what that meant. 2 weeks after the attack on New Busan, Ambassador Yuna walked through the great doors of the council chamber on Concordia Prime. The chamber was enormous, built to house representatives from hundreds of different species. It was designed to make visitors feel small and insignificant. Yuna refused to be intimidated. She wore a simple black suit and carried a datapad with all the evidence she needed. Behind her walked 2 human security officers, their faces stern and professional. The council sat in a huge semicircle, each species on raised platforms according to their seniority. At the highest point sat the Kilan, beings made of pure energy that glowed with soft blue light. They were ancient, thousands of years old, and they had led the council since its founding. Elder Quinn, the lead Kilan counselor, spoke in a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Ambassador Yuna of Earth, the council recognizes you. You may present your case. Before Yuna could speak, High Regent Valkros of the Velkari stood up. He was even larger than the commander who had attacked New Busan. Covered in dark scales with golden armor plates, his voice was harsh and angry. The humans have committed an act of war against the Velkari Dominion, he declared. They destroyed 15 of our ships and killed thousands of our people. We demand they surrender immediately and pay reparations for their crimes. Yuna felt her anger rising but kept her voice calm. The Velkari attacked our colony without warning or justification. We have the recordings. She activated her datapad. Holographic images appeared in the center of the chamber, showing the Velkari fleet attacking New Busan. The other council members watched in silence. You can see clearly, Yuna continued. The Velkari fired first. They targeted civilian transports. They used chemical weapons on the colony's surface, which are banned by council law. We defended ourselves and our people. That is not a crime. Valkros laughed. a terrible sound like rocks grinding together. Humans are young and ignorant of council ways. This system has belonged to the Velkari for 10,000 years. Your presence there was illegal. Show me the registered claim, Yuna said. Show me any council document that supports your ownership. Valkros hesitated. There was no such document, and everyone in the chamber knew it. Elder Quinn's glow brightened slightly. The Velkari claim is based on ancient custom, not formal registration. However, the human colony was properly registered with the council 17 years ago. By council law, the human claim is valid. Then you agree the Velkari attack was illegal? Yuna asked. The situation is complicated, Elder Quinn said slowly. Violence is always regrettable. The council believes both sides should step back, cease all hostilities, and allow us to mediate a peaceful solution. Yuna could not believe what she was hearing. They attacked us. They killed our people, and you want us to just forget about it? A counselor from the Threen species, small blue creatures known for their diplomacy, spoke up. Ambassador, we understand your anger. But the council has maintained peace in this galaxy for 12,000 years. We do this through dialogue and compromise, not through violence. Your peace only works when everyone follows the rules, Yuna said. The Velkari broke those rules. If there are no consequences, what stops them from doing it again? What stops anyone from doing it? Valkros spread his arms wide. The human speaks of rules, while her fleet roams our space, threatening our worlds. Even now, your Admiral Teho refuses council orders to stand down. That was true. Teho had gathered every human warship he could find, nearly 40 destroyers and cruisers. They were positioned near Velkari territory, ready to fight. Elder Quinn's voice became firmer. Is this true, Ambassador? Has your Admiral defied council orders? Yuna chose her words carefully. Admiral Teho is following orders from Earth's government. We are a sovereign species. We have the right to defend ourselves. Not if it threatens the peace of the entire galaxy, the Threen counselor said. The debate continued for hours. Some council members supported the humans quietly, admiring their courage. But most were afraid. The Velkari were powerful and had many allies. Humans were new and weak. It seemed obvious who the council should support. While the council argued, Commander Junho was preparing for battle. He was only 29 years old, but he had trained for war his entire adult life. He commanded a group of 12 stealth frigates, small ships designed for surprise attacks. Junho had received intelligence that the Velkari were planning to attack 2 more human colonies, New Pyongyang and Terra Nova. The council had told the humans to stand down. The Velkari clearly thought the humans would obey. They were wrong. All ships, prepare for silent running. Junho ordered. Shut down everything except life support and passive sensors. I want us invisible. Junho ordered. I want us invisible. The stealth frigates went dark, drifting in the empty space between stars. They waited for 3 days. Junho's crew slept in shifts, ate cold rations, and watched their screens for any sign of the enemy. On the 4th day, the Velkari fleet arrived, 40 warships, moving in a confident formation toward New Pyongyang. They did not expect any resistance. Target their command ship first, Junho ordered. Then spread out and hit them from all sides. Make them panic. The stealth frigates powered up all at once, appearing on Velkari sensors like ghosts materializing from nothing. They fired missiles at point-blank range, too close for the Velkari to respond. The Velkari command ship exploded. 3 more warships followed it. The Velkari fleet scattered in confusion, trying to find their attackers. Junho's frigates split up, each one targeting a different enemy ship. They moved fast, fired, and then disappeared again into the darkness. The Velkari fired wildly in all directions, often hitting their own ships by mistake. In 20 minutes, it was over. The entire Velkari assault fleet was destroyed. Junho's frigates had not lost a single ship. Send a message to Admiral Teho, Junho said. New Pyongyang is secure. The enemy is gone. The same thing happened at Terra Nova. Another Valkyrie fleet. Another ambush. Another human victory. Back at Concordia Prime, Valkros received the news while the council session was still ongoing. His face showed shock and rage. "The humans have destroyed 2 more of our fleets," he shouted. "This is an act of war. The council must support us against this aggression." Yuna checked her own datapad and smiled. "Our colonies were attacked. We defended them. Just like at New Busan." "You knew we were coming," Valkros accused. "You set a trap." "Yes," Yuna said simply. "You thought we would be easy victims. You were wrong." Several council members shifted uncomfortably. The Valkyrie were supposed to be one of the strongest military powers in the galaxy. How were these young humans defeating them so easily? Elder Quinn glowed brighter, a sign of agitation. "This cannot continue. The council demands an immediate ceasefire from both sides. You will both withdraw your forces to neutral zones and enter binding arbitration. Any species that refuses will face sanctions." Yuna bowed her head slightly. "I will relay the council's decision to my government." Valkros also agreed, though his voice shook with anger. "The Valkyrie Dominion will comply. But we will not forget this insult." The session ended. As Yuna walked out of the chamber, she was stopped by a small group of counselors from minor species. A representative of the Palian people, thin creatures with large eyes, spoke quietly. "Ambassador, many of us have suffered Valkyrie bullying for years. The council always sides with the powerful. We hope you continue to fight." Yuna looked at the small alien in surprise. "Even if it means breaking council orders?" The Palian looked around nervously, then nodded. "Someone needs to show that the strong cannot always do whatever they want." Yuna thanked them and left. As she walked to the transport that would take her to the human embassy, she thought about what came next. The council had ordered a ceasefire. Earth's government would have to decide whether to obey. She knew what Admiral Tejo would say. She knew what the people who had lost their homes on New Busan would say. And deep in her heart, she knew what she wanted to say. The Valkyrie had started this war thinking humans would be easy to defeat. They had learned differently, but the lesson was not over yet. 3 months had passed since the first attack on New Busan. The war had spread across the outer rim like wildfire. Admiral Tejo's fleet had grown to 70 ships, and they had fought 17 separate battles against the Valkyrie. The humans were winning. Captain Hana stood on the bridge of the Soul, watching her tactical display. Her ship and 5 others had just finished attacking a Valkyrie supply depot. The depot was now a cloud of debris and frozen air. "All ships accounted for, Captain," her first officer reported. "No casualties. The Valkyrie never knew we were there until it was too late." Hana allowed herself a small smile. The other species in the galaxy called her the Ghost of the Nebula, because her attacks came from nowhere and disappeared just as quickly. She had destroyed 23 Valkyrie ships without losing a single one of her own. The secret was simple: move fast, hit hard, and never fight fair. The Valkyrie expected enemies to line up and exchange fire like gentlemen. They had rules about honorable combat. Humans had no such rules. "Set course for the Talon sector," Hana ordered. "Admiral Tejo wants us there in 3 days." The Talon sector was important. It contained the last Valkyrie shipyard in human-controlled space. If they could destroy it, the Valkyrie would not be able to repair or build new ships anywhere near Earth. While Hana's fleet moved toward their target, the Galactic Council was meeting again. The emergency session had been called because both the Valkyrie and the humans were ignoring the ceasefire order. Elder Quinn floated at the center of the chamber, his energy form flickering with frustration. In 12,000 years of leading the Council, he had never encountered such stubborn species. The Council's ceasefire order was clear, he said. Both sides were to withdraw to neutral zones immediately. Instead, the fighting has increased. Ambassador Yuna, why has Earth not complied? Yuna stood calmly before the Council. She had learned that showing fear only made them push harder. "The Valkyrie continue to attack human colonies," she said. "We have documented 17 separate attacks in the past 3 months. We are defending ourselves." Volcro slammed his fist on his platform. Lies. The humans are the aggressors. They raid our supply lines, destroy our ships, and invade our territory. Your territory? Yuna raised an eyebrow. You mean the space you illegally claimed? Every battle we have fought has been in systems that belong to us, or were disputed. We have not entered any recognized Velkari space. The Threne counselor tried to mediate. Regardless of who started the conflict, it must end. The violence is spreading. Other species are becoming nervous. Some are building up their own military forces, fearing the war will reach them. Then tell the Velkari to stop attacking us, Yuna said. We defend our honor, Volcro said. The humans have embarrassed us before the entire galaxy. We cannot accept such humiliation. Elder Quinn's glow intensified. Pride is not worth endless war. The Council has decided. We are deploying the peacekeeping force to enforce the ceasefire. Any ship that fires a weapon will be destroyed. This includes both Velkari and human vessels. The peacekeeping force was the Council's military arm, used only in the most extreme situations. It consisted of ships from dozens of different species, all flying under the Council's banner. In theory, it was the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. Yuna bowed her head. I will inform my government of the Council's decision. She left the chamber and immediately contacted Earth. President Kiwan appeared on her screen. He was 60 years old, with white hair and a face that had seen too much suffering in his life. Ambassador, I watched the session, he said. The Council is sending their fleet against us. Yes, Mr. President. If we continue fighting the Velkari, we will also have to fight the Council. Kiwan was quiet for a moment. Behind him, Yuna could see Defense Minister Suji, who looked worried. She was younger than Kiwan. Sharp and practical. What does Admiral Tejo say? Kiwan asked. He says the peacekeeping force has not fought a real war in 8,000 years. Their ships are old, and their crews are inexperienced. He believes we can defeat them if necessary. Suji stepped forward. Mr. President, we cannot fight the entire galaxy. If we defy the Council, we will be completely isolated. No trade, no allies, nothing. Earth cannot survive alone. Can we survive if we let the Velkari go unpunished? Kiwan asked. They attacked our people. They killed our civilians. If we back down now, every species in the galaxy will think they can do the same thing. Yuna had been thinking about this question for weeks. Mr. President, the Council is afraid. They have not seen real war in millennia. They think they can control us with threats, but if we show weakness, they will never respect us. Kiwan looked at both women, then made his decision. Tell Admiral Tejo to continue the operation. We will not stop until the Velkari surrender, or until they can no longer threaten us. The Council will impose sanctions, Suji warned. Let them, Kiwan said. Humanity survived before we met the Council. We can survive without them, if we must. At the Talon sector, Admiral Tejo received the news from Earth. He was not surprised. He had known President Kiwan for 20 years and understood how the man thought. All ships, prepare for Operation Typhoon, Tejo ordered. Operation Typhoon was ambitious. 3 separate human fleets would attack 3 different Velkari military installations at the same time. The goal was to cripple the Velkari military in a single coordinated strike. Tejo would lead the attack on the shipyard. Captain Hana would destroy a major weapons factory. Commander Junho would eliminate the Velkari's main communication hub. Sir, we are detecting Council peacekeeping ships entering the sector, the sensor officer reported. They are broadcasting warnings for all vessels to stand down. Tejo looked at the tactical display. 20 peacekeeping ships, flying in a neat formation. They looked impressive, with their bright hulls and ceremonial markings. But their weapons were not powered up. Their shields were at minimal strength. They thought no one would dare to attack them. Open a channel, Tejo ordered. A Keelan officer appeared on screen, glowing with official authority. Human fleet. This is Council Peacekeeper Radiance. You are ordered to power down your weapons and withdraw from this sector immediately. Peacekeeper Radiance. This is Admiral Tejo of the United Earth Fleet. We are conducting military operations against an enemy that attacked our people. We do not recognize the Council's authority to stop us. The Keelan officer looked shocked. Admiral, you are in violation of Council law. If you proceed, we will be forced to stop you. You are welcome to try, Tejo said, and closed the channel. He turned to his weapons officer. Target the shipyard only. Do not fire on the peacekeeping ships unless they fire first. The human fleet moved forward. The peacekeeping ships positioned themselves between the humans and the shipyard, blocking the way. For a long moment, neither side moved. Then Tejo gave the order that would change everything. All ships, fire. The human fleet launched a massive missile barrage. Hundreds of missiles streaked toward the shipyard. The peacekeeping ships frantically powered up their weapons and shields, but they were too slow. The missiles flew past them and slammed into the shipyard. Explosions rippled across the massive structure. Docking bays collapsed. Construction yards tore apart. In less than a minute, the shipyard was destroyed. The peacekeeping ships did not fire a single shot. Their crews were too shocked, too confused. They had never actually fought anyone before. Withdraw, Tejo ordered. Get us to the jump point. The human fleet retreated before the peacekeepers could respond. At the same time, Hannah's fleet destroyed the weapons factory. Junho's frigates took out the communication hub. All three operations succeeded perfectly. The news spread across the galaxy in hours. Humanity had defied the Council's direct order and attacked anyway. They had embarrassed the peacekeeping force by ignoring them completely. In the Council chamber, Elder Quinn listened to the reports with growing concern. The peacekeeping force commander was making excuses, explaining why they had not stopped the humans. They moved too quickly. We did not expect them to ignore our presence. We were not authorized to fire first. Valkros was screaming for Council action. This is unacceptable. The humans must be stopped. Send the entire peacekeeping force. Blockade Earth itself if you must. But Elder Quinn was beginning to understand something. He had reviewed human military history. Something he should have done months ago. In the past 200 years, humanity had fought more wars than the entire Council had fought in 10,000 years. The humans were not reckless. They were experienced. They knew exactly what they were doing. The Council will meet in closed session, Elder Quinn announced. We must reconsider our approach to this situation. Ambassador Yuna watched the session end from the human embassy. She received a message from Admiral Tejo. All objectives achieved. No casualties. We're just getting warmed up. She smiled and sent a reply. Understood. Earth stands with you. The war was far from over, but the balance of power had shifted. The Council was no longer in control. The Galactic Council had never been so divided. Elder Quinn floated in the private chamber where the senior counselors met away from public view. Around him, representatives from the oldest and most powerful species argued with a passion he had not seen in thousands of years. The humans have made us look weak, said the Morvian counselor. A crystalline being whose voice echoed like breaking glass. If we do not stop them, other young species will think they can defy us too. Other Pontin, the Threen counselor disagreed. Perhaps we have been too arrogant. The Velkari clearly violated the law first. The humans are only defending themselves. By ignoring our ceasefire order, the Morvians' color shifted to angry red. By destroying our peacekeeping ships? They did not destroy any peacekeeping ships, Elder Quinn corrected. They ignored them. There is a difference. The debate had been going on for 3 days. The Council was splitting into 3 groups. The traditionalists wanted to enforce Council authority at any cost. The Velkari bloc supported their old ally, and a growing group of reformists quietly admired what humanity was doing. Elder Quinn had spent the past week studying everything he could find about humanity. What he discovered troubled him deeply. Humans had experienced more warfare in their short history than most species did in millions of years. They had built weapons that could destroy their own planet. They had fought wars that killed millions of their own people, and yet they had survived. More than survived, they had thrived. They had learned from their terrible history and become better. But they had not forgotten how to fight. "We need to understand what we are dealing with," Elder Quinn said to the assembled counselors. "I propose we send a delegation to Earth. We should speak with their leaders directly, not through ambassadors." The Morvian counselor was outraged. That would legitimize their defiance. "They should come to us, begging for forgiveness." "They will not beg," said a new voice. Everyone turned to see a representative from the Palian people standing at the chamber door. The small creature rarely spoke in council sessions and had never dared enter a private meeting before. "Forgive the intrusion," the Palian said nervously. "But I have traded with humans for many years. I know how they think. They do not respond well to threats or demands. They respond to respect." Elder Quinn considered this. "Thank you for your insight. Please join us." While the council debated, the war continued. The Velkari were becoming desperate. They had lost 40% of their fleet, and their economy was collapsing. High Regent Volkros knew he was running out of options. In his command center on the Velkari homeworld, he met with his military advisors. They were all afraid, though they tried to hide it. "The humans are preparing to attack our outer defense line," one admiral reported. "If they break through, they could reach our home system within weeks." "How many ships do we have left?" Volkros asked. 312 combat-capable vessels, my lord. But our crews are exhausted and morale is low." Volkros slammed his fist on the table. How had this happened? The Velkari had ruled this region of space for thousands of years. They had defeated dozens of enemies, and now they were being beaten by a species that had only been in space for a few hundred years. "We need to end this war quickly," Volkros said. "Contact our allies. Demand they honor their treaties and support us." But when the messages were sent, the responses were disappointing. Most of the Velkari's old allies made excuses. They were facing internal problems. They needed time to prepare. They were bound by council neutrality. The truth was clear. No one wanted to fight the humans. They were too unpredictable, too dangerous. Volkros made a decision that would change everything. "Prepare the Doomsday Fleet. We will strike at Earth itself. If we cannot defeat their military, we will destroy their homeworld." His advisors looked shocked. "My lord, the Council has forbidden the use of planet-killer weapons. If we use them, we will be expelled from the Council and face sanctions from every species in the galaxy." "We are already losing everything," Volkros said. "What difference does it make?" The Doomsday Fleet began assembling in secret. 20 massive ships, each carrying weapons designed to crack planets apart. They would jump directly to Earth's solar system and destroy humanity's homeworld before anyone could stop them. But secrets in space are hard to keep. Commander Junho's stealth frigates had been shadowing Velkari movements for weeks. When they detected unusual activity around the Velkari capital, Junho sent scouts to investigate. What they found made Junho's blood run cold. "Get me Admiral Tejo immediately," he ordered. When Tejo heard the news, he acted without hesitation. "All fleets, return to Earth at maximum speed. Commander Junho, track that Doomsday Fleet. Do not let them out of your sight." He then contacted Earth directly. "Mr. President, the Velkari are sending a planet-killer fleet to Earth. They will arrive in approximately 48 hours. President Kiwan listened calmly to the report. He had known this might happen. "Admiral, can you get your fleet back in time to defend us?" "No, sir. We are too far away. We will not arrive for 72 hours. Then Earth's defense grid will have to be enough." Defense Minister Suji was already activating Earth's planetary defenses. For decades, other species had mocked humanity for their paranoia. Earth had built thousands of defensive platforms, railguns, missile batteries, and energy shields. The other species said it was wasteful and unnecessary. Dr. Nari, the chief of defense systems, had designed most of Earth's defenses. She was a small woman with gray hair and tired eyes, but her mind was brilliant. She had planned for exactly this scenario. All defense stations. Full activation, she ordered from the Central Command Center. This is not a drill. We have incoming hostiles with planet-killer weapons. All across Earth's orbit, systems came to life. Weapon platforms that had floated dormant for years suddenly powered up. Missile silos opened. Energy shields flickered into existence, creating a protective dome around the planet. The Valkyrie Doomsday Fleet arrived exactly when Junho predicted. 20 enormous ships dropped out of jump space at the edge of Earth's solar system. They immediately began accelerating toward the blue planet. High Regent Valkros watched from his flagship. Fire as soon as we are in range. Destroy them all. But as the Valkyrie fleet approached, they encountered something unexpected. Thousands of defensive platforms opened fire at once. Railguns fired metal projectiles at incredible speeds. Missiles launched in massive swarms. Energy beams lanced out from the planet's surface. The Valkyrie had expected defenses, but not like this. Their shields were overwhelmed in seconds. 5 ships exploded immediately. The rest scattered, trying to find a way through the defensive fire. Then Commander Junho's frigates struck from behind. They had followed the Doomsday Fleet all the way to Earth, staying hidden until the perfect moment. Now, they attacked with everything they had. Caught between Earth's defenses and Junho's fleet, the Valkyrie ships had no chance. One by one, they were destroyed. The few that tried to retreat were hunted down by Junho's ships. Dr. Nari watched from the command center as the last Valkyrie ship exploded. She allowed herself a small smile. All stations, stand down to alert status. Threat eliminated. Our President Kiwan stood beside her, watching the debris field that had been the Valkyrie's last hope. How many casualties on our side? None, sir. Their weapons never got close enough to hit anything important. News of the battle spread across the galaxy within hours. The Valkyrie had launched their ultimate weapon against Earth and had been completely destroyed. Not a single Valkyrie ship had survived. In the council chamber, Elder Quinn received the report and finally understood the truth. Humanity was not lucky. They were not reckless. They had survived centuries of warfare by being prepared for anything. While other species enjoyed peace and comfort, humans had built defenses that could stop a planet-killer fleet. He called an emergency council session. When everyone was assembled, he spoke with more authority than he had shown in years. The war between the Valkyrie and humanity must end. The Valkyrie have used forbidden weapons and failed. They have no fleet left, no ability to fight. The council will not support them further. Valkros tried to protest, but his voice was weak. His entire Doomsday Fleet was gone. His empire was defenseless. The council proposes the following. Elder Quinn continued. The Valkyrie will surrender to humanity. Negotiations will be conducted directly between the two species, without council interference. Whatever terms they agree to, the council will recognize. The Morvian counselor objected. This sets a terrible precedent. It says that military might is more important than council authority. No, Elder Quinn said. It says that actions have consequences. The Valkyrie started this war. They ignored our warnings. They used forbidden weapons. They must now face the results of their choices. Ambassador Yuna listened to the decision with quiet satisfaction. It was not everything she had wanted, but it was enough. The council was stepping aside and letting humanity finish this on their own terms. She sent a message to President Kiwan. The council has withdrawn its opposition. We are free to conclude the war as we see fit. Kiwan's response was simple. Inform the Valkyrie that we are ready to discuss terms. But the negotiations will take place on Mars, not on their world or in neutral space. They will come to us. It was a symbolic gesture, but an important one. The Valkyrie had come to human space looking for easy victims. Now, they would come back as defeated supplicants, begging for mercy. The war was ending, but the galaxy would never be the same. 6 weeks after the failed attack on Earth, a Valkyrie shuttle landed on Mars. The Red Planet had been chosen for the peace negotiations because it was humanity's oldest colony and a symbol of human determination to survive in hostile environments. High Regent Valkros stepped off the shuttle, his scales dull, and his movements slow. He looked like he had aged 100 years in the past few months. Behind him came a small group of advisors, all looking defeated and afraid. They were met by Admiral Tejo, who stood in his dress uniform with an honor guard of human soldiers. The contrast was clear. The Velkari looked broken. The humans looked victorious. High Regent, Tejo said formally. Welcome to Mars. President Kiwan is waiting for you. Valkros wanted to say something proud and defiant, but the words would not come. He simply nodded and followed the human admiral into the conference facility. President Kiwan sat at a long table in a room with windows overlooking the Martian landscape. With him were Defense Minister Suji, Ambassador Yuna, and several military advisors. They all stood when Valkros entered, not out of respect but out of formality. Please, sit, Kiwan said, gesturing to chairs on the opposite side of the table. When everyone was seated, Kiwan placed a document on the table. These are our terms. You may review them. Valkros took the document with shaking hands. As he read, his face showed despair. The terms were harsh, but not cruel. The Velkari would survive, but their days of dominance were over. You want us to reduce our military to 1/10 of its current size? Valkros read. You want all disputed territories ceded to humanity. You want reparations paid over 50 years. And you want permanent human observers in our space to ensure compliance. Yes, Kiwan said simply. This will destroy the Velkari Dominion. We will be weak, vulnerable to every enemy. You should have thought of that before you attacked our civilians, Ambassador Yuna said coldly. Valkros looked at her with hatred, but also with fear. What guarantee do we have that you will not simply destroy us when we are helpless? Kiwan leaned forward. You have my word. If you accept these terms and abide by them, humanity will guarantee your safety. Any species that attacks you will face us. We may be your conquerors, but we can also be your protectors. And if we refuse these terms, then we will take what we want by force, Admiral Tejo said. Your fleet is gone. Your defenses are broken. We can occupy your homeworld within a week if we choose to. These terms are generous compared to what we could demand. Valkros knew the human was right. The Velkari had nothing left to bargain with. I need time to consult with my government. You have 1 day, Kiwan said. After that, the offer expires, and we negotiate new terms that will be less favorable. The Velkari delegation was taken to quarters where they could rest and communicate with their homeworld. Valkros sat alone in his room, staring at the red rocks of Mars through the window. He thought about how confident he had been 6 months ago. The humans had seemed so weak, so easy to crush. He had expected them to run or beg for mercy. Instead, they had fought back with a ferocity that shamed every species in the galaxy. The next day, Valkros returned to the negotiation room. He looked even more tired, but there was acceptance in his eyes. The Velkari Dominion accepts your terms, he said quietly. We will sign the treaty. The signing ceremony was brief and formal. Both sides put their marks on the document. It was done. The war was over. As Valkros prepared to leave, Kiwan stopped him. High Regent, I want you to understand something. We did not want this war. We took no pleasure in defeating you. But we will never allow anyone to attack our people without consequences. Teach that lesson to others in the galaxy, and perhaps such wars can be prevented in the future. Valkros nodded and left without another word. News of the Treaty of Mars spread across the galaxy quickly. The reactions were mixed. Some species celebrated, glad that the war was finally over. Others were nervous, realizing that the balance of power had shifted dramatically. The Galactic Council called another session. Elder Quinn floated at the center, his glow steady and calm. The war between humanity and the Velkari has ended, he announced. The Council recognizes the Treaty of Mars and will support its enforcement. The Morvian counselor stood up. This is a disaster. The humans have shown that military force is more effective than council diplomacy. What message does this send? It sends the message that the Council must change, Elder Quinn said. For too long, We have relied on tradition and the fear of our authority to maintain order. But the galaxy is changing. New species are joining us, bringing new ideas and new challenges. We must adapt or become irrelevant." He paused, letting his words sink in. "I propose a series of reforms. First, military strength will now be considered when determining council votes and influence. Species that can defend themselves and contribute to galactic security deserve more say in our decisions." Several councilors objected, but Elder Quinn continued. "Second, the peacekeeping force will be rebuilt and modernized, and I propose that humans be invited to train our peacekeepers in modern military doctrine." That caused an uproar. The idea of humans training the council's military was unthinkable to many. Ambassador Yuna watched the debate with interest. After an hour, Elder Quinn called for her to speak. "Ambassador Yuna, will humanity accept a role in training the peacekeeping force?" Yuna stood and looked around the chamber. "We will. On one condition. The Council must recognize that all member species have the right to defend themselves without seeking Council permission first. We will not disarm or limit our military based on Council orders." "That is a dangerous precedent," the Threen Councilor said. "Is it?" Yuna asked. "We are asking for the right to protect ourselves. If the Council cannot or will not protect its members, then those members must be free to protect themselves." After more debate, the Council agreed to Yuna's condition. The reforms were passed. The Galactic Council would never be the same. 5 years passed. The changes were dramatic. Admiral Tejo had retired from active service but now ran the Joint Defense Academy on Luna, Earth's moon. Every day, he trained officers from dozens of different species in human military tactics and strategy. His students were eager to learn, asking endless questions about human warfare. Captain Hana commanded the first integrated fleet in galactic history. Her crew included humans, Palians, Threen, and even a few reformed Velkari. They patrolled the outer rim, protecting trade routes and responding to emergencies. Her reputation as the Ghost of the Nebula had become legendary across the galaxy. Commander Junho led humanity's first deep space exploration fleet. They traveled beyond Council space, mapping new systems and searching for potential threats. Junho was older now, more experienced, but still as bold as ever. Ambassador Yuna had been promoted to Council Security Minister, a new position created by the reforms. She worked with Elder Quinn to maintain peace and security across the galaxy. They had become unlikely friends, the ancient energy being and the young human woman. The Velkari had rebuilt their society under the treaty's terms. Their new leader, a younger Velkari named Talvin, had embraced cooperation instead of conquest. He had even requested that Velkari officers be allowed to train at Tejo's academy. The request was granted. On Earth, Minji stood with her daughter at the memorial for those who died in the New Busan attack. The memorial was a simple wall of black stone, with thousands of names carved into it. Minji came here every year on the anniversary of the attack. Her daughter, now 7 years old, looked up at her. "Mama, why did the war happen?" Minji thought about how to explain it. "Because bad people thought we were weak and tried to hurt us. But we showed them we were strong." "Was it worth it?" her daughter asked. "All these people died." Minji looked at the names on the wall, each one representing a life lost. Then she looked up at the sky, where ships from dozens of different species traveled freely, working together and protecting each other. "We did not fight because we wanted to," she said. "We fought because we had to. Because if we had not stood up for ourselves, others would have kept hurting us. The people on this wall died so that you could grow up free and safe. Are we safe now?" Minji smiled and hugged her daughter. "Safer than we were." The galaxy learned that humans will not be pushed around, and we learned that we are strong enough to protect ourselves and others. They stood together in silence for a while, remembering. Across the galaxy, on the Galactic Council station, Elder Quinn was meeting with President Kiwan. The human president was older now, preparing to retire at the end of his term. "You changed the galaxy," Elder Quinn said. "Not just through war, but through your example. Other species are no longer content to simply accept council authority. They want a voice. They want respect. Is that a bad thing? Kiwan asked. No, Elder Quinn admitted. It is frightening and chaotic, but not bad. The council had become lazy, relying on tradition instead of earning our authority. You reminded us that leadership must be earned through actions, not assumed through age. What happens now? Elder Quinn's glow brightened. Now we build something better. A council that listens to all its members. A galaxy where strength is respected but not feared. A future where conflicts are resolved through wisdom, but where every species can defend itself if necessary. That sounds like a good future, Kiwan said. It does. And humanity will play a large role in building it. After the meeting, Kiwan returned to his ship. As Earth came into view through the viewport, he thought about everything that had happened. The war, the deaths, the victories, the changes. Humanity had come to the stars looking for a place among the civilized species of the galaxy. They had been treated as children, told to be quiet and obey their elders. When they were attacked, everyone expected them to submit or run. Instead, humanity had fought back. Not because they loved war, but because they refused to be victims. They had paid a terrible price, but they had earned something precious: respect. The galaxy would never again make the mistake of thinking humans were weak. And humanity would never again accept being treated as less than equal. The war was over. The peace was won. And both would be remembered for thousands of years to come.